is your first time here, you're probably gonna be like, she is crazy. But those are actually vocal warm-ups. Probably should have did that before I got on live. But yeah, here I am. I'm gonna go ahead and just do my vocal warm-ups now because usually the first 30 seconds, nobody's even in here. So it's nobody even in this live yet. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do my vocal warm-ups. I'm gonna drink some more water because anybody who's not new here, towards the end of my lives, my voice starts to give out. And I can feel like it's giving out already. Unfortunately, that comes from having an anxiety disorder. But yeah, greetings. Happy Tuesday. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. If you cannot hear me, please let me know. If you cannot hear me through the mic, please let me know. If you can hear me, feel free to say hi. I'll try to say hi back. Yeah. To avoid any more awkwardness, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the message. The message today is God may not answer every want, but He'll supply every need. If you see me looking down, I'm looking down at my notes. But I won't lie and say God answers every prayer. Unfortunately, He doesn't answer every prayer, but He will supply every need and work everything out in His way and in His timing. I'm going to repeat that again. God will work everything out in His way and in His timing. So, yeah, sometimes God doesn't answer our prayers, but even when He doesn't answer our prayers, He still works things out for our good if we trust in Him. That's the key. You have to trust in Him even when He doesn't answer your prayer. Because I'm going to be real. There's prayers that God didn't answer, but even the ones He did not answer, He still worked things out for my greater good. And in some cases, I was happy He didn't answer certain prayers because there was certain things I thought I wanted that I realized wasn't even what was best for me. God had better. God had a better plan. And there's been so many times where, like I said, I've prayed for something and God didn't answer my prayer, but He still ended up working things out. And I'm actually going to give y'all a current situation that I'm in, a current example. So, long story short, the apartment that I live in now, if you've been subscribed to my channel, even for just a few months, you probably remember me being in a different apartment, right? Long story short, I moved because really it was a new management. I don't really want to get into the details of why I moved from that apartment, but long story short, it was the new management that took over. And I was like, I gotta leave. I gotta get out of here because all the things they're changing and doing, I'm not feeling it. Like as much as I love my apartment and I love the area, I'm not feeling this new management. And I'm gonna be real, I wanted something a little bit cheaper. um, so yeah, I moved from that apartment into this apartment, and it was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. Within the first 24 hours of me living here, I realized I made a mistake, and I had so much regret. I had so much buyer's remorse. But yeah, long story short, I'm gonna get into the details, but some of the details I'm not going to get into why I'm moving because there's so many reasons why I'm moving. But long story short, I'm moving out of this apartment on Saturday, and I just moved here July 10th. Mind you, I've never done that before. I've never moved somewhere and then moved out like 30 days later. I've always did at least 1 year. And usually I'll stay somewhere for a few years. But that's how you know it's bad. I don't even want to get into the details because I don't want to get pissed off. But long story short, I I made the mistake of moving to this apartment. So when I was apartment hunting, it was between this apartment and another apartment. Now, the funny thing is, the other apartment looked almost identical to the apartment I was moving out of. Like literally the exact same layout and almost the exact same square footage. So even though I loved my old apartment, living in that apartment kind of was giving me deja vu. I was like, I want to switch things up. Like, even though I really like this apartment, I don't want to feel like I'm living in the same apartment, but I'm in a completely different complex in a different apartment. Like, you know, I want to try something new, right? So that was the main reason why I didn't choose to move into that apartment. But mind you, also, uh, yeah, that's really the main reason why I didn't move into that apartment. But I'm gonna be real, it was a little more expensive than this apartment. So I prayed about it and I was like, God, if it's meant for me to move to this apartment, let everything work out. Let me get approved, blah, blah, blah. If it's not meant for me to move to this apartment, make something happen to where I don't get approved. Make something happen to where I can't move in. Like, make something happen to where I don't end up moving into this apartment. I prayed that, right? So when I moved in and I realized very quickly that I fucked up. I was mad at God. I was frustrated with God because I'm like, God, I prayed to you about this. It's not like I just went and made the decision on my own and I didn't consult you. I prayed about this. And I ended up making a mistake, even though I prayed about it and everything went smoothly. I got approved, everything worked out. And it worked out, but I wasn't meant to move here, obviously, because I hate it. Like, I have no peace. So, yeah, I was just frustrated with God. And I'm like, I cannot stay in this unit. I cannot, at the very least, I have to move to a different unit. But I might need to move from the complex altogether. So I'm just like, what do I do? Like, I know I cannot live here for a whole 12 months. I cannot survive in this unit. Really? I'm realizing in this complex period, but specifically in this unit, I cannot survive for 12 months. Like, I will lose my fucking mind. Excuse my language. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to move. As much as I don't want to, I'm gonna have to move. Now, the blessing in it, and this is how God works. Even when He doesn't answer your prayer, He still works things out. The blessing in it was that this complex allows you to move out within the first 30 days if you're not satisfied. If you come to them before your first 30 days is up and you tell them, look, I'm not happy living here, I want to move. They let you move without any penalty, without any fee. So that was the blessing in it. Yes, God allowed me to move to the wrong apartment, but He made sure that I was able to get out of it without having to suffer any consequences, without having to pay a fee or break my lease or anything like that. So that was blessing number one. Blessing number two, this was a few days after, I moved in and I'm just like regretting it. I'm like, I hate it. I miss my old apartment. Like, maybe I should have never moved. But at the same time, like, I didn't have peace living there either because of all the stuff the new management was doing and changing. So I'm like, I don't know what to do, Lord. Like, and I'm like, man, I really regret not moving into that other apartment. And here I am complaining, like, oh, the layout is the same as my old apartment. I want to do something new. But at the same time, you talked about how much you loved your old apartment. It was really just the management I didn't like. Once they changed the management at the beginning of this year, that's when things started going downhill. But my apartment itself, the layout, the square footage, everything, I loved my apartment. I was in love with that apartment. So I'm like, you were complaining and saying, like, oh, I want to do something new. This looks exactly like my old apartment. It's like you then you should have moved to that apartment. If you loved your old apartment, you should have just went ahead and moved to that apartment. Like, is the only reason you moved from your old apartment was because of the management. This apartment complex, they have way better management. And I knew that even when I first toured it a few months back. But again, I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to be cheap. And I didn't want to feel like deja vu. Like I'm living in the same apartment again. But it's like you that shouldn't matter because you loved that apartment. Like you should be happy that you were able to find a better apartment, a better complex that has pretty much the same apartment you was living in. It's just a better complex. So I was just regretting it, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have moved to the other complex. And I was like, I wish they would just reach out to me, like telling me, like, hey, we got some specials, or we got this apartment available. Da, da, da. Like in my mind, I was thinking to myself, like, I wish they would just randomly reach out to me, even though I know it's been a few months. Like, I wish they would reach out to me, like giving me some type of special or something. I kid you not. A day after I had that thought, guess who reaches out to me? The apartment complex. The apartment complex that I regretted not moving to. That was just like my old apartment. They reached out to me. They emailed me. So I emailed them back. I'm like, what units do you have available? Like, do you have a third floor apartment available? Because one of the reasons, I'll tell y'all one of the reasons why I'm moving. This is my first time living in an apartment where somebody lives above me. I've always lived on the top floor of every apartment. I've never had somebody living above me. I've always been at the top of every apartment. This is the first apartment I didn't do that, and I will never do it again. It's one of my biggest regrets about moving into this apartment. One night, I want to say this was like 2 weeks ago, a Saturday night at 1 in the morning. I hear somebody running around above me. It's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? Come to find out, it was a little kid running around at 1 in the morning. That's why I'm like, I don't know if it's like that with every apartment complex. Like if somebody's living above you, you can hear every little walk and stomp and run. But regardless, I know I can't deal with that. I cannot deal with it. I can't even take the risk. Because even if I feel like some apartments probably are built better, some probably are built better when it comes to the noise. But I feel like even if you live in a building that's built pretty well and you don't hear every little thing your neighbors do, and I could be wrong. If you live in an apartment where somebody lives above you, let me know if I'm wrong. But I feel like no matter how well the building is built, if somebody's living above you, you're going to hear something. You're going to hear some type of walking, or if they drop something, you're going to hear something. And call me bougie, call me stuck up, but I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want nobody living above me. I don't want to hear nothing above my head. So that's one of the reasons why I regretted moving into this apartment. Um, so when the other apartment complex reached out to me, I'm like, do y'all have any third floor up one bedrooms available? And they're like, yeah, we actually do. And it's available August 25th. And I'm like, I kind of need it sooner than that. Like, because long story short, I only have 30 days from the day that I moved into this apartment. I only have 30 days to find something else. And at this point, it was even less than 30 days because I had already been living in an apartment for almost 2 weeks. So really, I only got 2 weeks to find another place to live and move into that place in 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, this is the perfect apartment. It's on the third floor. It's not facing any other apartments. It's facing the street, but it also has like some trees in front. So I would have privacy. It was the perfect apartment. But it wasn't available until August 25th. Mind you, I have to be out of this apartment by August 9th. So I'm like, ah. So here, and this is where God comes in. That's what I'm saying. You gotta just trust God. Even when you pray for something and He don't answer your prayer, that don't mean it's the end. That does not mean it's the end. Really, it just means He's doing it in His timing, in His way, or He has something better for you. And you gotta just trust that. So I tell them, like, I need to be out of this apartment by August 9th at the latest. And um this is what happened. This is where God comes in again. I go to the apartment complex in person and I'm like, is there any way I could like tour it again? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, and the guy that was helping me was like, yeah, I remember you. You came a few months ago, da da da. And I'm just explaining to him like the situation with this apartment and why I'm moving. Come to find out, even though the apartment wasn't said to be available until August 25th, guess what? The girl who lives in that apartment, she's moving out of state. So she is moving earlier than she originally told them. So instead of the apartment being ready on August 25th, it's going to be ready this Saturday. It's going to be ready on August 8th. And I had to be out of this apartment by August 9th. So the apartment that I really wanted not only is going to be ready before the date it shows online, it's going to be ready just in time that I have, like, for me to have to move out of here. So look at God. Look at God. And yeah, so the girl who was moving, who lived, because she don't even live there now. The girl who lived in that apartment, she was supposed to stay longer. She was supposed to stay until closer to the end of August. But since she was moving out of state, she decided to leave early. Mind you, they didn't ask her if she could leave early or anything. She decided that before she even knew somebody was looking at the apartment. So look at how God works. The apartment wasn't supposed to be ready until August 25th. It's going to be ready on August 8th. And I have to be out of here August 9th. So look at how that all worked out. And it's so funny because I was panicking. I'm like, Lord, how am I going to find somewhere, another place to live in 2 weeks? And I gotta make sure it has this and it has that and it has that and it's in this area and da da da. All these, all these things that I, want in my apartment. All the different details and things like, the area that I live in, the layout of the apartment, the cost, the management, all these different things. Me being on the top floor, that was a big thing. Um, all these different things that I had to consider and think about, which made my apartment hunting even harder because I'm like, oh, like, because I have all these requirements, it's like my options are like extremely small. But honestly, even though I was looking at other apartments, I I kept thinking about that apartment. I kept thinking about the other apartment that I turned down and that I ended up moving into this apartment instead. And the fact that they reached out to me randomly, they emailed me randomly. And this was the day after I had that thought, like, man, I wish they would email me and tell me if they have some units available on the third floor. Da, da, da. And it all worked out. God didn't answer my prayer as far as me making the right decision of moving here, but He still ended up working everything out in the end. He still ended up working everything out in the end. I was stressed out. I was stressed out. And I'm just like, I was so frustrated with God because I'm like, why? You could have made something happen to stop me from moving into this apartment. Like, why, Lord? Like, and I ain't gonna lie, I am having to spend. I pretty much wasted. I want to say like 400 or $500. But guess what? Another way that God shows up. Even though I'm a little salty about the fact that I wasted like $400 or $500 moving here and then having to move into another apartment, guess what? I recently got part of my settlement from a car accident that I was in last year. I haven't got the real big settlement because it's two different settlements, but the I got one of the settlements from the car accident. Around this time, around the same time all this is happening, I'm having to move, and then I move into somewhere, and then I gotta move again. He made sure that that settlement money came in right around the same time, right around the same time. So it's just beautiful how even when we make a mistake and we pray about something and we think that God told us something and we end up being wrong and we make a mistake. God knows our heart. He knows our heart and he knows our intentions. And most importantly, he knows our needs. He knows our needs. You're not always going to get what you want in life, even as a believer, but God will always take care of you. God knew that for my sanity and my peace and my well being, staying in this unit was not going to be good for me. So, the thing about God is, He gives us free will. I used my free will and chose to move to this apartment. Yes, I prayed about it, but if I'm being honest with myself, I didn't really sit on it. I didn't really meditate on it. I just prayed about it and I'm like, well, I prayed about it. So if I get approved, that means I was meant to move here. So here's the thing, God allowed me to make that mistake in my free will. But He knew that staying here for a year was not going to be good for my mental. And even though I was trying to save more money, the money, the little bit of money that I'm saving, is not worth my peace. So that's number one. But because God knew that this wasn't going to be what was best for me, he made sure that I had a way out ahead of time. He made sure that I had a way out ahead of time before I even made the mistake. Why? Because of the I don't know what to call it, but because of what the complex offers. If you're not satisfied living here within the first 30 days, you can move out without any penalty, without having to pay a termination fee or break the lease or any of that. So, because here's the thing, it could have been worse. He could have allowed me to move to an apartment that didn't have that, to where I would have had to pay a couple $1,000s to get out the lease. He could have allowed that to happen. But even though I made my mistake, he was still able to fix it. He was still able to clean up my mess. And I just love him so much for that. I appreciate him so much for giving us free will and allowing us to make mistakes, but still being there for us to help us pick up the pieces and correct our mistakes. And even the fact that he made sure, because mind you, I was in this car accident back in November of 2025. It's August of 2026. And he made sure that the settlement came just in time when I needed it the most. And that's just one of many examples in my life where God may have not answered my exact prayer, but he still worked everything out for my greater good. And I pray that this message blessed you and spoke to you in some way. If there's a prayer that you've prayed to God that He didn't answer, number one, it might just be that He hasn't answered it yet, or He may not ever answer that specific prayer, but He's still going to work everything out in your favor. His plans are just different than our plans, and we have to trust Him. So, yeah, I love you guys. If this message was helpful, please make sure you like it and make sure you're subscribed. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.